So to give you an example of what that looks like in layman, they told you that you're only using 10% of your brain. So if you want to translate that, that's 10% signal, 90% distraction, right? So they're telling you that you're only getting 10% signal, 90% distraction. That's what that translates in metaphysically. So let's shift that and change the signal, right, to where you're more signal than distraction. I said it in my last live, and I sent the reel that I found it from to back it up, where they say that Steve Jobs was 80% signal and 20% noise. And from another observation of someone else, the only person that they know that runs off 100% signal is that of Elon Musk. Now, that's somebody else's perception. But in terms of what you are, how much you are distracted by noise. What distracts you that does not serve your purpose? Okay? All right? What you said, Miss Aubrey? What doesn't serve your purpose? Okay? That's a distraction. Anything that takes you away from self is a distraction. More signal, less distraction. 10%, 90%. So when they say, oh, the human experience only use 10% of their brain. Okay, that's 10% signal. That's like a small beacon of signal. Okay? 90% distraction. Everything out there, the noise, the news, what's happening, the politics and social economic standards and taxes and all of that shit is distraction and entertainment and all this other 90% distraction, 10% signal. So how are you to reach your sovereign self when you're 90% distraction and operating off a 10% signal? And they're constantly reaffirming that, oh, only 10% in your brain. They're telling you. 11:11, you guys, right? So let's translate that. I no longer decide to use 10% of my brain no more. I'm not going to even call it a brain. I'm just going to say I want to beacon my signal at 80-20. Because I do want a little action, knock about. I do want a little action in my life. So I'll go a little 20% distraction. Because, I do, want to do some jet skis and talk a little shit every now and then. Because, that's the little thug in me. You know what I'm saying? So I do want a little 20% distraction. You know what I'm saying? But I want to be 80%. See, you can change the narrative. You don't necessarily have to go by what you have been told, because as a sovereign being, you have the ability to change the narrative of what you tell yourself. It's what you tell yourself. That is the key.